Having a conversation with Cole Cubelic and Greg McElroy on their show on Jocks FM in Birmingham on Monday, and I kind of wanted to continue it here with Cole, so he's good enough to jump aboard. He's on Twitter at Cole Cubelic. You know where to find him. Yo, man, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. We were talking a little bit. The biggest question people have here about LSU is the offensive line. Makes sense, right? You lose 4 starters to the NFL draft. One of them is the 4th pick overall. I get it. Big question. My contention so far has been watching this team, Cole. They got a lot of talent on the offensive line, but 5 have to learn to play as 1. If I asked you, as a guy who played center in the SEC, what is a realistic timeline to think that 5 guys that have never played together could gel and play as one unit effectively?
Ooh, it's going to be weeks. I mean, you have groups that go a year or 2 together that can't really ever pull that off. That never find their way to be, from a continuity standpoint, a group that really gets it and understands it. So I wouldn't really expect it to be elite. I mean, the good news is you got a great offensive line coach there in Baton Rouge, and the understanding with some of the guys that are maybe younger but have been in the system, that's going to help. But man, I tell people all the time, Matt, it doesn't happen until you've done it together against people trying to make you look bad. A lot of times, and Brian Kelly's at a disadvantage because college football just doesn't allow that a whole lot these days. You're just not in pads a ton. So, and then you're going to get a guy that misses a practice because he's dehydrated and he cramped up. You're going to get a guy that has a knee sprain. You're going to get a guy that has a concussion, whatever it is. And it's like, how often are those 5 really together anyway? And that's where the group's kind of like what Florida has this year, that have spent 2-3 years together, the majority of them, that practice time, those game reps together. You know, it's I've talked to multiple offensive linemen the last couple of years that have said, you know, these game reps are like practice reps now. Like, we need those together to grow, to understand, to see what it's going to be like. Because number one, you don't get that kind of practice time a whole lot, and then 2, they just hadn't been together as long.
Yeah. How do you think they compensate? The coordinator, schematically, how do you compensate for that potential deficiency?
Well, exactly like you did last year. You just don't hand the ball off.
You know what's interesting, Cole? We talked to Joe Sloan on Friday, and he said point blank, like, we're going to run the ball. And I know Will Campbell said it last year, but Will Campbell kind of said it like with this bravado. Joe Sloan's like, no, like, we've got to. And so one of the things we're seeing a lot, Cole, is it's just creativity. It's direct snaps to the running backs. It's jet sweeps. It's receivers in the backfield. It's just all these different ways.
Listen, there are ways to circumvent this, okay? And the good news is a lot of how offense has been designed recently has been designed for that. Hurry up, no huddle, spread offense. Like, they don't do that because they have better receivers than everybody. Most of that stuff was created because they couldn't get the guys blocked. So they want to try to wear you down by the end of the game, and then therefore your size strength advantage on the defensive line wasn't as much of an advantage anymore. Why do you think Baylor, Tennessee, all these other teams are lining up their receivers 4 inches from each sideline? Well, it's not because they're so good at receiver, their one-on-ones are going to beat you. They need your bigger bodies away from the football. So you either decide you're going to play half a man, advantage that defense, you're going to leave the receivers out there by themselves, probably advantage offense, or you're going to play in the box, which then gives them other things they can do through the passing game. And then mobile quarterbacks, what does that do? Forces an extra defender to be closer to the football, and you're going to have to play either a bigger style or give you different advantages somewhere else. But most of these things, slide protection, you hear me complain about it all the time, Matt. Basically, you guys can't pass protect. So what do? You take one gap each, you stay hip to hip, you stay kind of locked up where you don't feel like you're going to give away that penetration. That's all that has been designed because there's not a lot of Alan Sanecas running around. I mean, that's just what it is. And, you know, we've gotten further and further away from developing that position. Now with the transfer portal, these kids are not playing next to each other for very long. You got to find different ways to help them out. So all the motion that you see, that's not just like Steve Sarkisian trying to get a receiver on a safety. A lot of that is, I mean, when you watch it, there's a play called split zone. You'll run inside zone to the right. That receiver or the tight end will come across the opposite direction. And if you ever pay close enough attention to that, a lot of times that off-the-ball linebacker will take one step with that, we call it a splitter or a slider, who comes the opposite direction. That gives you a huge advantage, not for the running back to hit the hole when he's not there, but just for that offensive lineman to be able to get up and get the correct angle on him because he took that one false step. All of a sudden, advantage us. Hell, even if you're doing that with your eyes, that's a big advantage for us. So there's a lot of different ways you can help it with motions, with split zone, with bootlegs, play fakes. Hey, I'll tell you another thing. Like, Nussmeier needs to keep a zone read every now and then and just run it. Just show that it can happen, because then now all of a sudden you freeze the backside of that defense. You force that off-the-ball linebacker to play a little bit more straight up, and that gives the offensive line different advantages in different ways.
I want to ask another follow-up in just a second, but since we're kind of going down this road, this is a deviation. You get to go watch these teams not only on TV, but you get to watch the SEC teams in person and talk to the coaches and the players in game week and all. If I just totally open-ended, who do you think, who is the best quarterback in the SEC going into this season?
Right now, I would say Garrett Nussmeier.
Who's number 2?
Okay, let's go through the list here, because I know what you're probably getting at is that most people are going to easy answer say Lagway.
No, I'm not getting at anything.
Sellers.
I'm not getting.
No, but I'm trying to think it out here. I'm trying to think out loud because I think the guy that probably deserves to be in that conversation that's not going to be is going to be Taylon Green at Arkansas. He's just been limited from a weapons and an overall offensive, I guess, talent standpoint. Lagway and Sellers are going to be towards the top. We don't know much about Ty Simpson. Obviously, Jackson Arnold's got a lot to prove. We don't know what Bo Prabula is going to be like at Missouri. So Arch Manning, I think, is still a very limited sample size, so I don't put him even in the top 3 right now. We don't know enough about Austin Simmons. I think we know what Blake Shapen is, but he's just got to be available and be healthy, which honestly is becoming part of the problem with DJ Lagway. Like, I need you to be available. And it's been in small doses, but miss time. Like, that can't keep happening and you be the best quarterback in the SEC. So I think right now I would say Nussmeier, Lagway, Sellers, probably in that order. But keep in mind, you asked who the best quarterback was, and that's different than who can run the fastest and who can throw the farthest or throw the hardest.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't leading. I just was.
And John Mateer needs to be in that discussion. But I hate the whole who's your first team All SEC quarterback? A guy who's never taken a snap in the SEC. Like, I don't have a hard time doing that. Like, I think John Mateer is going to be great. I think Deion Burks is going to be awesome. I think that defensive line is the best D-line in the SEC right now. But it's like, I just have a hard time saying you're the first team All SEC quarterback, even though you've never taken a snap in the SEC. Like, that's just something my brain can't really grasp. But John Mateer is going to be in that conversation or at the top of that list by the end of the season.
Okay. You alluded to a minute ago when I was talking about LSU running the ball, and you said, well, because they don't hand it off. And I know you feel strongly about this, but to bring this conversation full circle, LSU did have 4 guys last year on the offensive line that had played 170 collegiate games combined and had started with each other for 3 years, and they couldn't run the ball. Why?
You're going to do this again.
What?
You're going to do this again.
What was the – I want you to do this for my audience. What was the problem with LSU last year? Why they were 107th in the country in rushing offense?
I'm going to stick to what I've told you for an entire offseason, and I guess we're just going to get to the point that you're not going to believe me.
No, you just haven't told my audience. You've told me this on your show at SEC Media Days. I want you to tell our audience.
You cannot be good at running the football without an attempt to do so. You cannot. Put the Alabama game on. Watch the first play. Watch the fourth play. Watch the first play of the third quarter. And then why doesn't that happen again? I know score dictates some things later in games. Same thing in the A&M game. Like, you can't tell me they could never run the ball. That wasn't a real thing. Without an attempt to run the ball or being so selective with when you decide to run the ball, that's not Will Campbell's fault. That's not Emory Jones's fault. It's not Mason Taylor even fault when he's trying to help his tight end. You can't just say, okay, 3rd and 1. Now, guys, we have to get 2 yards of movement here. We have to bulldoze these guys into the end zone for a touchdown. It doesn't work that way. Like, you live the life that you live. Like, I can't go run a marathon tomorrow. I don't live that life. I'm not a marathon runner. Like, it's not real. I can't just say, you know what, guys? And this is hilarious because McElroy said this on our show a couple weeks ago. He was like, I could do a triathlon right now. And I was like, you are out of your mind. You completely lost it. And then he changed it to like I guess there's different levels of marathons, and he's like the regular person or triathlon. I mean, he's like the regular person triathlon. I could do that. And it's like half a mile a mile and a mile and a half instead of like 20 miles, and 10 miles.
Yeah, that's
insane.
Like, well,
totally
that's insane.
Things.
Well, like an Ironman is you do a 3-mile swim, a 100-mile bike ride, and then a full marathon. He's certifiably insane if he thinks he can do
your rear end would be so raw on that bike ride, not even halfway through it, that you'd quit and
he wouldn't
shut it down.
He wouldn't get to the bike ride, Cole. A 3-mile swim. A 3-mile swim is insane.
But he'll sit there and tell you he can do it today. I was like, your arms would fall off after a mile of swimming because you're not going to use your legs the way you're supposed to. That's how all of us non-Olympians swim. So, but back to it. Back to the reality here. Saban said this a long time ago, and people didn't really catch on to it. And it's when Tua was at Alabama, and they had a somewhat similar problem. They would have games be up, 10, 14, 13, whatever, early fourth quarter, and they'd go up there and try to run the ball, and they'd get stuffed. And people would badger Saban at the end of games about it. And finally, after the third or fourth game in a row that this happened, he lost it in a press conference. He said, let me tell you guys something. He said, when you got a quarterback as talented as ours and you give him the option to throw the ball or hand the ball off, what do you think he's going to do 90% of the time? Because you're right, he's going to throw the ball. So in practice, when our offensive line's asked to run block, and they run block, slant, pass over the middle, out route. At some point in time, your brain starts to say, why in the hell are we doing this? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect things. The only thing affecting thing is, can Jerry Jeudy make the catch? Is Devonta Smith going to get 50 yards or 15 yards after he catches this ball? We don't dictate what happens in the game. Then all of a sudden you get to that point in the game and you say, okay, guys, need you to go be some caterpillars here now. Go be some earth movers. We haven't done that in a long time, but now you want us to do that. It doesn't work that way. You live the life that you live every single day in practice, in games, whatever that is. And you can't just all of a sudden say, all right, I'm going to go live this different life now, and we need to be a bunch of bullies and go push people around. It's not how an offensive line can operate. So I will stick to this. I don't think that offensive line could not run block last year. I don't think that offensive line was given a fair chance to be good run blockers last year, because selectively doing it once a quarter, once a half, once every 3 games is not giving me the opportunity to prove to you what I'm about and what I can do, because teams are going to slant, teams are going to stack the box, teams are going to move, teams are going to blitz. And if you do those 1 out of 3 times, when we're running the ball 1 out of 33 times, and you win the one time we decide to run it, you're going to look at that and say, those guys can't run block. When either the numbers weren't right or the situation was bad and they just happen to have our number on that play, you've got to give me consecutive opportunities to go out there and prove that we can be that kind of a unit. And I don't honestly feel like they were given that chance last year.
Cole Cubelic, SEC Network, Mac and Cube on Jocks FM, a Cube Show on YouTube, and Tuesday Date Night as well.
Tuesday Date Night.
I love this.
We got a very controversial episode this week.
If you don't know, Cole and his wife do a podcast together called Tuesday Date Night, and you should go subscribe to that. I want to listen to it on my way home tonight. What's controversial about it?
Well, there's a vasectomy scheduled for Friday, and the controversy is whether or not I'll show up for it. So,
why would you do that?
I'm doing it against my will.
Yeah,
I'm doing it at the wishes of my wife.
Okay.
And as someone who legitimately has had 14 operations, probably 10 of those serious operations, and has never had an ounce of fear about any of them. I had a foot surgery where Dr. James Andrews, legendary trackster at LSU, by the way, I believe pole vaulter,
no doubt,
told me when he was getting ready for me to go under that we've never done this before, so hopefully it goes well. Didn't care. Said, put me to sleep. We're good. I had a screw in my foot that was bent. He told me that the bone was stronger than the screw. When they began to torque it and pull it out, it could break. And I said, what happens if it breaks? He said, we'll let you wake up and talk about it then. I'm like, just get it done. Didn't worry about it. Didn't have a single ounce of fear, no anxiety whatsoever. I don't really know what anxiety is, I don't think, but I feel like I'm figuring it out because I've got it now with this. And I cannot get my brain comfortable with it. I sweat and hyperventilate when I talk about it. And she just thinks you need to go in there and do that. We're going to get that taken care of. And it's not that easy. It's not something that I feel okay. I had 15 people DM me on Instagram today after listening to the show saying, it's not a big deal. You'll be fine. There are no words they're going to bring comfort to this for me. There's not. So I don't know why people are trying.
It's Tuesday date night. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
Also, very important question for you that we discussed on the podcast. We had pizza last night.
Okay.
Are you okay with burnt pizza?
Define burnt.
This fancy tile oven, brick oven, grilled, made, whatever it is, pizza.
Yeah, where it's like you bite into it, it's like it's crispy.
The thinner crust and it tastes like
crispy.
bark.
I'm good with it. It's not my preference, but I'll eat pretty much anything.
I told the lady last night, we had been there before, and I said, I would like mine taken out when it's halfway finished.
I gotta go. I got a hard break. I gotta go. Thank you for the time.
See ya.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.